Welcome back to another episode of the Bearcat Basketball Podcast. This is Season 2. I'm your host, Alex Meacham, former UC basketball player from 1997 to 1999 under the legendary coach Bob Huggins. I was fortunate enough to wear the iconic Jordan brand unis during my time. Now, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Alex_Meacham. Meacham is spelled Meacham. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, Alex Meacham. I'm on Snapchat, Big Meach 41. And now, I can officially say this. On Season 2, I am now on TikTok, at Alex Meacham 41. This is a special edition of the podcast, my interview series with a very special guest.
Bearcat fans, I'm excited to welcome in this Bearcat great. Played basketball for the Bearcats from 2006 to 2008 under Mick Cronin. And he was part of Coach Cronin's first two seasons as the head coach of UC. He was the second leading scorer on those two teams behind Deontay Vaughn, but he was an absolute beast on the boards and played with that toughness that Bearcat fans have become accustomed to seeing from the players wearing the red and black. I would like to welcome in my guy, number 45, John Williamson. What's up, John?
What up?
Oh, man, making it. What are you up to these days, man?
Man, I'm a big entrepreneur, man. So I'm a part of the business side of everything right now.
I like to hear that. What all do you have going on from an entrepreneur standpoint?
Big in real estate here in Columbus. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate appraiser, and I'm a real estate investor. Started investing back in 2012.
You liking it?
So yeah, I love it, man. And
do you feel like you're from your playing days, whether it was with UC, Cincinnati State, or back to high school, do you feel like that helped prepare you for after you finish from a business standpoint of being able to put a structured schedule together, how hard you have to work? Do you feel like that athletic background that you have helps you in business today?
Absolutely, because like you said, it's all about the structure, and ever since coming in the game, that's what it's structure and discipline. Mm-hmm. And those I think are the two prominent things that go along with business: the structure and discipline, and of course, which helps a lot is your professionalism.
Yeah.
And staying with that, and that I think that all coincides.
Yeah, no question. Now, I haven't seen you. I remember actually the last time I saw you. I don't know if you remember this, but it was at Coach Brandon's house, and he had that former player. Do you remember that?
Mhm. Yeah.
That was the last time I think we saw each other. So you were sitting with Deontay. You guys were chopping it up.
Yep, Tay, that's my guy.
Oh man, and we're gonna jump into that because you two were definitely monsters in the game, wearing the red and black, and such an integral part of helping this program get to the level they are today. But what I want to do real quick, and I do this with every former player that comes on the show, I'd like to ask you, when you got to UC, you chose to wear number 45. I ask every player, why did you choose to wear that number?
Oh, man, it that was my number in high school. And, man, I really don't know. Oh, yeah, I do know. In high school, we didn't have much choices. I'm a city kid here in Columbus. And, the bigger the number, the bigger the size.
Yeah, right. Right, and you were one of the bigger guys, so.
Yeah, I was one of the bigger guys, so I'm like, man, I like smaller numbers, but the size fit, and then which made it kind of sweeter for me. Jordan switched over to 45, so I'm like, oh, okay, I got somebody I could, relate to with the number thing. But yeah, that's how that came about. So I was in between 40 and 45 in high school because of the sizes.
Got you. If you had your choice, what number would you have chosen? Back then.
If I had my choice, probably 23. Because I idolized Jordan so much. And,
no question.
Back then, when I was growing up, that he was definitely, the great, one of the greats. So, yeah.
And you had to be. How old are you now, John?
34.
34. So that would mean back when Michael wore. So if you're 34, when Michael Jordan came back to the game and switched to number 45, you were like 9 years old.
Yeah.
Like you, right? You were about 9 because that was like 95. So, so you were born in 86, right? Because you're 34.
Yeah, I was born in 86. Yeah.
Yep. Gosh, man, back in the day. Now, did you watch the Last Dance like every other basketball person?
Yeah, Oh yeah, I mean, I liked it. I mean, it showed pretty much who we all figured Jordan was. I mean, we figured. I mean, we seen he was a hard worker and he seemed like a perfectionist, and and that coming out, and just hearing his teammates and stuff and everybody talk to. What I didn't know was how what Scottie Pippen went through. Him being the he was and being underpaid and treated like how he was treated. And then we all knew the craziness of Dennis Rodman. I mean, he's always been like that. But some of the stuff that came out, I was just like, sheesh, this dude is really off the wall. But that just shows how good he was, too. Like, how he can do something like that, go to Vegas and party like that, and then come and give you 30 rebounds.
Crazy.
Sheesh.
Crazy.
Different
I tell you, man, it goes to show you people – I know, like for myself, growing up, being a young guy, watching the Bulls, and even being older now, it's like you watch it and you have no idea what those teams or that team is going through.
Yeah.
And we're going to dive into the teams you were on and kind of maybe what you guys were going through. But people they watch basketball players play, they eat their popcorn, they watch the game, and they have fun.
And forget. And don't know.
They don't know.
That's crazy. We're talking about that because I was just on the phone. I was on a FaceTime on live with a friend of mine, Jerome Tillman, and we were talking about that, like how the off-season training is a lot tougher than the season. But people don't know what all goes in, like our bodies, and the training and everything. We just talked about that last night because he's over in Japan still playing. We were talking about it. Yeah, that off season, transformation, and we're going to talk about that with your Bearcat days. Going from their first season to your second season. All the players have to kind of go through okay, I've got to do this better. And I draw back to when I played with Kenyon Martin. I don't think I've ever been around somebody from year to year that just completely changed their game during the off season. Like the amount of work that he put in to make himself the number one player in the draft. Like it's just. But we're definitely going to dive into that. But what I want to do though, because these are long form interviews, I want to kind of go back and kind of build your story that leads to the Bearcat days. But let's rewind the tape. Like you mentioned before, you grew up in Columbus. You went to Marion Franklin High School. Is that correct? Yeah.
What type of high school player were you?
I was solid. I was really solid. I was on the cut. I was overlooked. I felt like I was a lot.
Why is that
underrated? Because I was a city kid. I was more of a street kid. I didn't really get in the basketball market at an early age. Like, I didn't start playing basketball until I didn't start playing organized basketball until I was in 9th grade.
Wow.
Maybe even 10th, because 9th grade I didn't even try out for the team. Like, I think I got hurt or something like that, and like it wasn't even on my mind to even play. Like, I was playing at the rec centers and stuff like that, of course, But, like I said, organized basketball wasn't really, in my mind. So, yeah, man, that's really how my basketball started. I didn't try out or do anything. So a lot I wasn't looked at. That young, you're usually playing in leagues. You're training with like the trainers around the city.
Yep.
Your AAU. You have that, so you getting that publicity and you getting that your name put out because you're working out with these people and doing it. And I didn't do none of that. So.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. That came, I think, with the territory of doing it. So I was just like raw talent, leading up to that. And then I started, once I got in the 10th grade, I started taking it serious because I started meeting people and talking to people. And that really, got my name out there a little bit. But like I said, I was still, overlooked just because I wasn't on those platforms.
Right. Right. I mean, and shit, John, you look at it now, man, they've got, I can go on Instagram right now and find like mixtapes on sixth graders.
What?
And like,
oh, man.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Crazy. Crazy, man.
And to think, and I tell parents and kids this all the time, but to think you really didn't start your process until that 10th grade year, and you still made it to play and be one of the more dominant players in the Big East, the best conference in America. So I always tell people, you don't have to like do all this stuff so early. And like you got, like I said, you got sixth graders are ranked number 3 in the country.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, who's watching that? Sixth graders, right?
Right.
Now, let me ask you this: Were you always one of the bigger kids? Because you're 6'7", is that right? Close to that.
I'm 6'6".
6'6". So were you always a bigger kid, even in high school?
No, I grew. It's funny. That's funny we talk about that too, because I grew 4 inches over one summer, my 8th grade year to the 9th grade year.
Wow.
I grew 4 inches. I went from 6 foot to being 6'4" in 9th grade.
That helps.
Yeah. So like it was funny because I went to school and like all my friends was looking at me like, what just happened? Like, what the hell just happened to John? Like, y'all seen him? Like, It was crazy. But, and going back to my childhood, I used to have real bad cramps in my legs. I used to have really bad, like my mom used to have to rub like the back of my knees because my legs used to cramp up so much, and we didn't know. And and we used to go to the doctor, and he's like, man, he's just growing. He's like, he's gonna have a growth spurt one. He's like, and I think it's gonna be, pretty big. We weren't thinking at that time because I was just hurting, and I think that's what it was. Because after that, I didn't have those leg pains.
That's interesting. So you grow. And you've already, I mean, you've got the ingredients to be a good basketball player. You've got toughness. You've got size now. You just were raw, right?
Yeah.
You're just raw. Was there anybody, during that time period that really kind of like either mentored you, took you under their wings, and said, "All right, John, we're gonna get you there"?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it was actually the AD, our athletic director, and the coach, Mr. Williams. His name is Scott Williams. He's up here in Columbus, so I think he's with West High School now. But yeah, that's the crazy thing. I mean, I got crazy because of how my basketball stuff started. They actually came. I think I was either at the swimming pool or at the rec center. With the rec center and swimming pool, they're together here at Marion Franklin. And they were having trials. I was at the pool and at the rec, playing with my friends, and they came over like, "What are you doing?" Like, they heard about me. People, said, I think it was Tamika Brown. She was actually assistant coach for the girls for UC a couple years when I was there.
And she was there?
Tamika Brown, huh?
She was there in Columbus?
Yeah, she's from Columbus. She went to Ohio State. She was like, Tamika's nice. But she had said something to, them, like, man, y'all need to get this kid. Like, he plays at the rec. Like, he's pretty good. So she pretty much put my name out there to some people. And, you know, I was known around the neighborhood, but like I said, I was like I wanted to be like a streak. I'm being around my friends, I like being around.
Yep.
So they came up to the Rex and like, hey, you know, we having tryouts and basketball tryouts. Why ain't you over here playing this and that? And I'm like, man, I probably ain't going to get the grades, man. I'm not about to go, you know, do something because it happened to me in middle school. I didn't get to get grades, but I was just like, man, I don't really care. I'm, you know, living my life, man. And that's what happened. So they came and got me. I still had that attitude, a didn't care attitude, just a bad attitude, and so I didn't try out. They ended up putting me on the team anyway. They put me on freshman. They put me on the team like, you on freshman. So I played freshman and did all right. And then that next year, my 10th grade year, man, they took me on they start having like little summer workouts and stuff. You can come in the gym. They wanted to see how you were doing, like just to see players for the next year. And they had Kenny Gregory come in and talk to us. And, you know, Kenny Gregory, a legend here, great player.
Yep.
And he was still young then. He was really young, still playing then. And they just had us work out, and they took me under their wing, like, man, you can really, you know, be something special, man. And that's how it happened. The rest is history. And which make it even sweeter is a guy. He was our security guard, man, and he was at Brookhaven. Brookhaven was like a powerhouse of high schools here back then. And I think he was either assistant coach for Brookhaven or he was their security guard too, one or the other. But he ended up taking me, one of the guys' name was Miguel, and what's the other guy? Jeff Cumberland. He ended up taking us three to a UC game, and that's how I became successful UC. It was the game. Yeah, it was the game. Steve Logan set the assist record. I never forget.
Oh man,
it was the game. Steve Logan set the assist record. This security guard took us three. Them two, Miguel and Jeff, went to Brookhaven, and I was at Marion Franklin. And he took us to the UC game, and we got sit in the locker room, hugs was there, and everything. Man, it was surreal. And that's when I really like changed my mindset. Like, man, I want this, man. I want this.
Yeah. And you know, that's fascinating to hear, because I think every successful high level, whether you're basketball, baseball, football, whatever the sport is, you've had somebody along your journey kind of grab you and either, you know, put you in a position or talk to you about something that helps you go to that next level. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everybody has that, you know, those couple people or that environment. So you obviously had that. Somebody had faith in you, took you, you know, under their wings. You start to develop. Let's fast forward to your senior year of high school. At your senior year, at this point, what type of player are you? How'd your team do in the, I guess, the state tournament at that time?
We did. I developed really. I was like one of our top players on the team. I started getting a little bit of recognition. I had a couple schools coming and, you know, asking about me. But we were so behind because I don't want to say it like as far as my knowledge goes, I mean, we had some good players and, you know, at my school, but it wasn't translated because I say that to say this. I only took the ACT in high school one time.
Really?
Yeah. So my eligibility was like, and I wasn't the smartest. So, you know, I think whatever the number was for me to go Division I was one below it. So if I needed a 16, I had a 15, or if it was a 17, I had a 16. And I only took it one time. I'll never forget it. I drove myself, ended up finding it was crazy because someone came. I think it was like a counselor or something. Like, did you take the ACT? And I'm like, what's that? And she's like, oh my God, and Miss Moore. And she's like, oh my God, nobody said anything. I'm like, no. She's like, you need to get on this right away. I'm like, man, it's a big deal. Like, so that's how far behind, you know, I was, you know, as far, you know, that, and I think our program. because I never took the test. Like, I took that test one time, I'll never forget. I went to Hamilton Township High School and took the test. I drove myself Saturday morning and only took that thing one time, man. And I think that's what, but I mean, for the team and everything, we had a pretty good, not really good. We ended up losing, I think, in the city, to the city. I think we lost to Mifflin or something like that. But man, I mean, all the guys, I grew up with and and played with, growing up. So it was a really nice experience. We didn't have any team issues as far as like the end team and like inside the team or nothing like that. So it was great, man. It was great.
Yeah, and now you've got obviously the bug to play at a high level. You end up at Cincinnati State. So how did that happen?
Yep. So I ended up at Cincinnati State. Man, how did that happen? I know I didn't want to go to. So when I went to that UC game, I knew I wanted to go to Cincinnati. I was like, man, that school is great. I wonder how would it help get me there. And I forgot someone. I don't know if it was our AD or what. It was a couple guys I was already playing there that was from Columbus, and I knew that if I stayed in Columbus, I would get in trouble. Like, I was like, like I said, from how I grew up and the friends I was hanging around, I didn't hang around a lot of guys that played basketball. I hang around guys that played basketball because it was fun, but they were more in the street. But they were my friends. It wasn't like they weren't no really bad influences, but I knew basketball wasn't going to take them to school or do anything like that. And I didn't hang around guys that because it's a different group of friends that you have. You have friends that play basketball that you go play AAU and you play and work out with. And like I said, I didn't do any of that. And so so fast forward. Oh man, I think Andre Tate ended up calling, and he had something. It spoke to my parents. Was like, yeah, we don't know what route is he going to take, but we have scholarships and stuff like if he wants to come here, he's not too far away from home. So I'm like, yeah, because I know I don't want to stay here in Columbus because I'll probably get in trouble and I won't be focused. So that's just far enough for me to be close to home and still far enough where I'm just not going to drive home. And so that's what I did, man. I ended up going. He ended up having like a open gym / tryout, and me and a guy from here, Raylon, went down, and they gave us a room and stuff like that and put us up. It was like a 2-day workout tryout, and that's what happened. And they ended up picking me up. And
now, was that Andre Tate's first year as a head coach? Because I know he was assistant.
Yeah. Because they had another guy's name was Eric. Eric
Thomas.
Eric Thomas,
I think. And Tate was the assistant. Then Eric left, and then Andre took over. So that was your first year. Got it.
So that was my first year. Yep, exactly.
Got it. And that's great that obviously Andre Tate played for Huggins, played for the Bearcats.
Yeah.
Now great that you have him as your coach.
Hey, I put it all together, didn't I? Asked me.
Yeah.
I said, oh, yeah, he went to UC, so I know he got UC ties. Like, that's how I was thinking. I'm like, then we got Eric Martin, and then we had
was Corey Blunt helping?
No, not really.
He might have been the second. He might have been the second wave. I'm sorry, because Tate went to UC, came back, and I think he came back.
Then he probably had, and we had what's his name, man? He was our assistant coach too. He went to UC. Man, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. He was from Texas. Brown skin, bald head.
Oh, man, that's
guard from Texas. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, man. He was our assistant coach too, but he went to UC. So we had an all UC staff.
So you had Andre Tate, you had Eric Martin, and then we'll figure out who the other person is.
I'm forgetting, man.
I can't even remember.
Good dude. Oh, man. Dark skin. He was a point guard at UC.
Oh, man. I can't.
Man.
I can't think of who that would be. We'll definitely figure that out. So how was your experience? How was your experience at Cincinnati State?
Oh, it was great, man. It was great, man. I had it was scary at first when we first got. I still had the attitude, and I never forget it, man. Me and Jarrell Redden, he's the coach at Woodward now.
I know Rel real well. He played AU for me. I know Rel.
Oh, okay, yeah. So me and
yeah.
It's a funny story. I don't know if he gonna be mad at me about this, or he gonna laugh.
No,
but
tell it, because I know almost all his stories. Yep.
Me and him almost flunked out of Cincinnati State.
Really?
Yeah. I know he'll laugh because me and him. So we had to get like I think a C or a B in a class to pass to be eligible. We weren't going to be eligible if we didn't pass the class in together. I think it was physics or something. Man, me and him we couldn't even coach. Like Coach Tate told us we couldn't practice, couldn't do anything basketball related. We had to study. We had to pass this class. Man, I remember me and him in coach's office every day, sweating, studying, man, to pass this class so we would be eligible.
Man,
it was I had a journey. I had a long. We could write a book. I could write a book on the stuff I went through with my career. Like seriously.
No, I
yeah,
bet.
Man.
But I would assume under Coach Tate and that staff there that you learned. I mean, you learned a lot, because if you look at Andre Tate, man, he was like. It's funny that you and Tay were the backbone to Mick Cronin's era. And if you look back, Andre Tate was the backbone to Huggins' era, because Andre Tate was the first player, the first point guard on Huggins' team. So both you two, and then you've got Eric Martin there, who from an undersized player that could rebound the shit out of the ball, played hard. Like, there are a lot of similarities between you and Eric, between just toughness and how you played.
I developed a lot. Them guys really developed me after that.
Yeah, I bet. So how did it happen? I know you said you wanted to be a Bearcat, but obviously some things have to be in place for you to do that. Obviously, academically, you have to be prepared.
Yep.
Mick has to want you. Talk about that process.
Yeah, so after that, I took school a lot more serious, and my grades went up. And it's crazy, like, once you start doing what you're supposed to do, how easy it is. It's just like, man, pay attention for the time you're in there. And all that stuff is. And so after that, it got so easy. So I never had a problem with school. I started being on dean's list and everything, just paying attention for the time I'm in class. So
John, let me say something real quick with what you just said, because I think that's an important point, and it's so spot on, because when I got to UC and Kenyon Martin was there, Kenyon Martin was one of the smartest human beings I've ever been around. Like, dude just can figure things out on the court. Like, he just got this incredible feel for, like, basketball life. He's just really smart dude, but he always struggled in some academic situations. And I'm like, Ken, you would literally crush it in the classroom if you just applied yourself. Like, you're not, like, there's some folks that just, the classroom ain't for them, and they're not going to excel. And I think so many basketball players, like you said, that are so intelligent, if they just apply themselves to that, they'll crush it just like they do on the court.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So I'm sorry, and I got a little bit off there. You were talking about the process of choosing or making it to the Bearcats.
Yeah, so making it to I ended up because I was gonna go to I ended up doing a visit to Purdue, actually. Ooh, and that was like one, and I was with Matt Painter, and I think he had just taken over. I got the job. I think he was there for about a year before, and I went down there and I did my official visit and everything. And a lot of people don't know this story either, but after my visit, I got a call from Coach Painter and everything. We were talking. He was asking me have I made my decision yet. This is like off season of my freshman year. after I did pretty well my freshman year at Cincinnati State. And we were just talking, and he was asking if I had made a decision. I'm like, no, not yet. I'm still waiting. I don't know. He was like, man, and he had said this to me. I'll never forget it. And he's like, well, it's a big decision, but you might want to you might want to consider it. And he said you might not do. You don't know what the future holds. You don't know if you're gonna do as good as you did next year. You did this year. And I was like, huh? I said, did this dude really say this to me?
So he's basically. So wait a minute. He's telling you to take that scholarship now because it might not be there next year?
Yeah, pretty much. I never forget it.
Wow.
I was sitting outside of my girlfriend's house talking on the phone, and it was in the evening because I remember it being nighttime. I ended up calling Coach Tate right after and told Tate, like, man, you believe what he just said to me? And he like, yeah, well, you know what you need to do. You need to get in the gym. And I called, and I don't know if Jarrell might have been with me. And man, I give my hat off to Jarrell, man. It's because me and him been through a lot, and a lot of people don't know. Me and him, like I said from the start, me and him almost, like I said, fell. We won't be eligible, but I think I ended up calling him, or he was either with me, and I told him. He looked at me like, let's work. And we're kids, and he like, let's work. And after that, man, me and him pushed each other. Me and him walked to UC from Cincinnati State. Man, I swear. Interview Rail after this. Ask Rail about all this stuff. It's crazy. Yeah. Me and him used to walk to UC to work out and play again, and go to open gyms and play. I remember me and him went to UC, and we played. He gonna remember his name. He was a big guy. He had braids. He was there before me, and Dominique. No, it wasn't Dominique Telfer. What's the guy's name that transferred to Ole Miss? The point guard.
Transfer to Ole Miss or South Carolina? You talking about
South Carolina?
Devin Downey.
Devin Downey. And the other guy, I can't think of his name. Me and Jarrell went up there and played with 2-on-2. They gonna be bad, but I ain't even gonna say the result. You gotta ask Jarrell about it. But ask Jarrell about what happened. So me and him was just on a grind, man. So after that, because of it, so that's why I'm saying this all led up to me going to UC, because when I went to Purdue, it was like one of my my first visits, and I was just like back in awe. I'm like, man, these dudes got everything. Like, this is definitely a step up from Cincinnati State. And it ain't too far from home. Be playing in Big Ten, so I'm gonna play Ohio State. So I'm like, so the family going, cause I'm a big family guy, so I'm like, my family gonna be able to see me, this and that. And it's, and they're a great program. Coach Painter was there. I think they had what's his name, Quizno, or Coach Quizno or something like that. He was there, and someone else. And I'm like, man, that's a great program. So I'm like, all right. So, but after that, I was just like, it's out the door. I know it's time to work. So I had them, and then I had Xavier, Coach Mack.
Oh wow, I didn't know this.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know this.
So, oh man. So there's a funny story.
Well, I'm glad you didn't go to Xavier, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, what's his name? He was there. Not Coach Mack, who was the head. He was his assistant. He ended up being the head coach after that. Was it Coach Mack? Yeah, because Coach Miller was the coach at first. He was the head
Sean
coach.
Miller. Mack was the assistant. Correct.
And Mack was the assistant. So Mack came over to Cincinnati. I don't know. We were at Cincinnati State. Yeah, he ended up coming to Cincinnati State and talking to me. He said, I'll never forget it. He said, I had to give it a shot. I know you probably won't come to Xavier, but I had to give it. He said, I know you probably won't come to Xavier because the whole coaching staff from UC, these guys ain't gonna let you coach.
Right.
He said, these guys ain't gonna let you come to Xavier, but I had to give it a shot. I said, oh man. But he kept it real, and yeah. So I had Xavier, then I had Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
They were on me. They were on me tough. I can't say I forgot his name. The coach that was there, the Nick guy.
Yeah, I just drew a blank.
Me too.
Charlie Cole.
Charlie Cole, man.
Yep.
Coolest,
Rest in peace.
man, cooler than the other side of the pillow, man. I love Charlie.
Great person, man. Great
cool
legendary
dude.
Coach. Legendary
cool
guy.
dude, man.
No question.
So
no question.
they were recruiting me. I went down there for an unofficial visit, and but you know, after my second year, I was All-American. I was Juke All-American, so I had a lot of, you know, people, a lot of coaches, you know, coming at me to the point to where we were playing in the Nationals, and Coach Tate and Coach Martin took my phone because my phone was blowing. Like, oh yeah, and they were like they needed me to focus, and they took my cell phone. But fast forward, okay, so now we get into the UC part. So I ended up going to Murray State for a visit. I think it was unofficial.
And Mick's the head coach.
And Mick was the head coach. Yeah. Me and Coach Martin. Yeah, me and Coach Martin drove down there and went to Murray State. And I said, man, and Murray State had a nice facility. I'm like, man, for them to be, you know, a
mid-major
at the time. They were mid-major. The mid-major. I'm like, man, they facilities was crazy. I think it was we went during homecoming. We had a great time, and like I said, their facilities was nice, and I had a good experience. So at that time, Coach was there. Fast forward, after that, I ended up talking to Coach. I think this is when the transition was starting to happen, when Coach Cronin was on his way out. I think he was, you know, being interviewed and everything. He calls me. He's like, hey, you know, presents himself, and he's like, man, I know that you know, Murray State might not, you know, I know that's probably, you know, how you playing, you probably looking at, you know, a high major school, you know, high D1, whatever, but I might have some stuff in the works. I want you to consider, you know, me as a coach to be, you know, to be in the runnings for this next job I'm thinking about. I'm like, oh, okay. So we end up talking just off the record, like, hey, you know, this he asked me, have you made a decision and this and that? I'm like, no. He's like, oh, okay, all right. So fast forward, I'm in the room, and it come across the screen like Coach Cronin gets the UC job. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
you know, I'm pumped. I'm like, man,
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember when I came across the ESPN tickers.
Yep. So it was some games on, and it came across. And I'm like, oh snap! So I ended up, I didn't have my phone. So I'm like, man, what's going on? I'm like, oh, man, that's it right there. I forgot who was my roommate. But I'm like, man, that's it right there. That's it. That's all I needed. And the rest is history. I ended up talking to him, and I'm like, man, I'm with it. That's where I ended up going, because I never really did a visit at UC. I knew the facility because we used to go play in open gyms and stuff like that. So he was like, man, let's just do like an unofficial. I did an unofficial visit, just walk through one nut, and they showed me everything. I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is a no-brainer. This is what, you know, who gets to live out their childhood dreams. You know, when you write your future in a book, and one of them is, you know, play at UC. Here you go. Like, you know, ain't no better situation than that. And I already knew what they were, you know, situation they was in, and I'm just like, you know, it is what it is. I'm just gonna ride it out. So you gave me so much stuff that I'd never heard before. I didn't know that process. But it comes back to, and I tell Bearcat fans that a lot of recruiting has to do with relationships. You know, either the assistant coach has a past relationship, or the head coach was somewhere else and recruited a kid, and you never know. You know, like Kyle Washington, who played for
for Mick and those guys. He had a past relationship prior to him coming to UC when he was at NC State with Coach Larry Davis, and that stuff all just kind of just, it's so weird how sports work, but you kind of sometimes, if you do the right things, you're around the right people, you end up in the spot you want to be in. And and that was the case for you. But here's the question, though. So you're coming in to the University of Cincinnati during a very difficult time. I mean, you look at Bob Huggins, who is not only is Bob Huggins, you know, such a big figure at the University of Cincinnati, but just in the city of Cincinnati, the sports landscape, Huggins is looked at as one of the greatest figures ever. He gets fired. People are upset. Andy Kennedy takes over as interim coach. He then goes, he decides to go take the Ole Miss job, and then Mick gets the job. So you've got a fan base that is pissed at the UC administration. They don't want anything to do with UC. And you got Mick, who, you know, is coming back, taking over from a legend, and it's just a weird space. Did you fully understand all that stuff at that time, or are you just trying to hoop?
Yes and no, because, I mean, I just felt I felt that I belonged there. One, because Huggins recruited me too. I wasn't on a high rate. I don't think I was on a high radar of Huggins, but he did come to the game. I think he did it just off the strength of tape, but you know, he came to the game. And I take that back. I was gonna go out to. They did ask me to consider Kansas State, so I take that back. So they did. You know, they did ask me to consider Kansas State, but I was just like, that's too far away from my family. Like, that's not really, you know, what I want to do. And so that was out the door. And then and Andy, he recruited me too. He recruited me over there. I think he was the main one I spoke with. And so it was just like a trickling effect. But, you know, once Mick got the job, I'm like, well, he's a Cincinnati kid. He's from Cincinnati. So I figured, like, okay, he will have, you know, more. I think they will be more accepting to him just because of his dad. You know, his dad was well known for in the coaching world, and he's from, you know, he's from the city. So I'm like, I think it was a really good situation for me and for him, you know, coming in. So it didn't make it too uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Mick's got some deep ties to Cincinnati.
Yeah, exactly.
So, now you're coming in with Deontay Vaughn, let's see, Marcus Sykes, Marvin Gentry, a bunch of guys. Did you know some of those guys going into that, or like did you know Tay? I think Tay was even in Cincinnati at the prep school.
Yeah, I knew Tay. He was at Harmony Prep.
Harmony Prep, that's it. They shut down, but yep.
Yeah, they shut down. He was at Harmony Prep, and Tay is just a wild dude. Tay is just an open-minded, just there. He like, even though we the same age, he's like a little brother that you hate and love at the same time, because he's aggravating. He gets on your nerves, but you know, like, he's loyal and he's funny. He don't mean much. He don't mean nothing by it. He do it just to do it. And so Tay was just a cool. And like I never met Tay. I think we played against Harmony before, like just in like a scrimmage game. But he ends up calling me, just talking trash off the rip. I didn't know the dude. He's like, man, let's go work out at UC. You signing there, this and that. Let's go work out or play in like an open gym or something. So he had put that, like, you know, invited me. We had did something like that before anything. And so, you know, that relationship. So I knew Tay, but everybody else, no, I didn't know.
You just kind of made him. Tay, let me tell you a quick Deontay Vaughn story. He's the funniest dude ever. So I'm a big Jordan sneaker guy, and Tay loves his sneakers. And every time I would come by, you know, one of your guys' practice or whatever, he would always be like, "Hey man, when you gonna hook me up with some J's, man? I need some J's." And I'm like, Deontay, I can't do that. First of all, it's a violation, blah, blah, blah. He's like, man, ain't nobody got to know, man. So he was always – so one day I forget who you guys are playing, but I'm sitting courtside, and you guys weren't playing like a big time, Big East opponent. It might have been someone, early on, like a South Carolina upstate or somebody. And Tay's playing pretty well. And you guys are coming out of a timeout, and I'm sitting courtside, and he's getting ready to take the ball out of bounds, like near where I'm sitting. And he looks at me and he goes, "I like those." Pointing at my shoes. He's like, where are my J's? In the middle of the game. And like,
he's out, man.
You know that's him. Like,
Yeah, I'm about to say, that's definitely him. Yeah, that's definitely him.
He didn't care about the game that was going. And the people that were sitting courtside with me were like, "What was that about?" Like, they didn't understand. I'm like, I was like, it's good. I was like, don't worry about it.
That's how that dude is, man. That's him. That's him, man. Like, bro.
Let's dive into your first year. It's 2006-2007 season. You guys go 11-19, 2-14 in the Big East. Not a great record, but I do want to talk about this season kind of a little bit in detail. Now with Mick gets the job. There are only two players, or actually two scholarships, one walk-on player coming over from Andy. That was Cedric McGowan, Ronald Allen, and Brandon Miller, the walk-on. Everybody else was newly recruited. So I don't think from a fan base standpoint, there weren't a lot of high expectations for this team just because they didn't know anybody. It wasn't a lot of recruiting. It's new. So, and you guys played some early games where, you're kind of building up some confidence, get some wins. I know you guys I believe you beat Temple, and then you beat Xavier. You guys beat Xavier 67-57 or whatever. And to me, that was so big because, like, people don't like when we lose to Xavier. That's just
man.
It can't happen, right?
Oh, man. Listen, I was getting inbox, email. I don't know how people got my cell phone number. I'm talking about people was hit like I don't care what happens this season as long as y'all beat Xavier, we riding. It was like it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. It was just like, I don't care what happens this season, as long as y'all beat Xavier, we're good.
It
was. I was like, oh, this rivalry is for real.
And you didn't know? Did you understand how big it was coming in?
I didn't. I didn't. Like I said, I'm like, who are these people? Where do these people come from? And they're like, and they don't care. They're like, man, we don't care. As long as you beat Xavier, we're good. You're good here in our book. I'm like, man, this is insane. I wasn't used to nothing like that. We didn't really have no rivals at Cincinnati State other than Columbus State. And I took that personal just because I was from here and knew a lot of the guys on the team, but not like this.
And that game, to me, was very important for you guys. Like you said, the fans take that game so seriously, and your guys' record wasn't that great. So there's got to be some sort of gold nugget within the season, and that was one of them.
Sure.
And Mick being Mick's first year, and he beat Xavier his first year, that's got to make him feel good and give the fan base a little bit of excitement. But you guys turn around right from that Xavier game and play Ohio State, who's number 4 in the country, the next game.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Was that in Indianapolis?
Yeah, that was in Indianapolis.
Okay. What do you remember about that game?
I just remember I was just so pumped up just because it was just like, man, I'm playing against, my hometown, Ohio State. And it wasn't like I was like real big into Ohio State. Like, I just always wanted to go to Ohio State. It was just the fact that I knew everybody. I had a lot of support from my family and friends from the city, and so I knew everyone was gonna be watching. I think it was like it might have been like a CBS game. It was a huge game. It was a tournament.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think it was a big national game.
Yeah, national game, and I just remember just being pumped up. Like I'm like, man. If we beat them, we're on the map. They had Greg and all them, Ron Lewis and all. Man, it was just like the team was loaded. And I just remember I was just so pumped up and excited and nervous at the same time. And we went and just played. And I think I played pretty good. I was just like I did 100% of the game. Just went out and played hard. I know I just had that extra chip on my shoulder just because. But
how did you play? How did you play that game? I don't have the stats. I don't really remember the detail.
I played pretty well. I think I had. I remember because I seen an article on it. I think I did have more rebounds than I had points. I think I had. It was something crazy. I had a double. I ended up winning. I ended up winning MVP. I think of the game. I won the school a student from the school a scholarship.
Really?
I won someone a scholarship from the school for that. I think I had MVP. I think it was something that I won for that game. I don't remember, but because I had a double. I think I had like 15. I think I had 15 rebounds, 14 points, or something like that. But I ended up winning something for that. But
and quickly about your rebounding, you obviously had a knack for that. Where does that come from?
Coach Martin. Eric Martin.
There you go.
Every time the ball went up, he would tell me to get. And I guess it's a mathematical thing that when someone shoots the ball, get opposite.
Rebound opposite. that is get opposite. Get opposite.
And that's they preach even coming in. Like get opposite. Coach Cronin all the time. Get opposite. Coach Tate, get opposite.
Yep.
And that's what I did every time. It didn't hurt that I was athletic too. I jumped.
and your aggressiveness, your toughness.
Yeah, I was aggressive. I was aggressive. I was super aggressive. And
you dial that in. Yeah, and they say that you got to think when you get to a certain level of basketball, most people are capable shooters, and capable shooters most of the time do not shoot the ball short. So if they don't shoot it short, it's probably going off the side of opposite. So that's where that all comes from. And I used to hear Hugs say that every day.
Get opposite.
But you know what's so interesting too about this your first year. You guys got to sneak out a couple wins, North Carolina State, Miami of Ohio, and then you go on a 5-game losing streak. And I kind of remember that period. It was like, guys going on a 5-game losing streak. The fan base is kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this team. But then you guys play at home, West Virginia. Okay, and this was the home game versus West Virginia that you win in overtime, 96-83. What I want you to talk about, if you can remember this, because that is such a big game for Mick, because Hugs is the coach there. What was that like? The preparation leading to that game, and it was so emotional for Mick. Do you remember the preparation and what Mick was like? I know it was a while ago.
Yes, and no. I know we were like super prepared. Like I know we had the game. We were like super. It was like any other game plan, but it just seemed like he definitely had, because a lot of the stuff I don't think Hugs changed up, a lot. So Mick pretty much knew, like it seemed Mick studied him down to the T, because everything. I mean, even when we played in West Virginia, I think we blew them. Did we blow them out in West Virginia?
That was your the second year. You did. You guys.
It was just like, man, this dude knew everything, like the whole game plan. So it was just like, man, and it was like the same, but with Xavier, like, man, our practices and stuff was like so intense, man. It was an extra oomph on those games for sure, for the preparation, and then just how intense practice and stuff was.
Yeah. You think like so prior to the West Virginia game, you guys lose 5 in a row. Do you think that emotionally you guys got so high after that win because you go on to lose 10 in a row after that. So you guys lose essentially 15 games. You win the West Virginia in the middle, but you lose, 15 games. You think that emotionally, maybe that West Virginia game you guys got, pretty high?
Really, it's just like all a blur because them years was so tough because I think Nick had a lot of pressure. Man, that's
sure.
probably
I get it.
The toughest years of my basketball life. Like because like I said, Nick had so much pressure, and a lot of people don't know this about me either. I didn't have an off season coming in my second year. I literally came back from my knee surgery a week before the season started. Literally 1 week before the season started. I didn't have an off season the whole spring, summer. I got my surgery in March. It was March or April, beginning, like right after the season, like maybe a couple days after the season, I got knee surgery. And hold that for a second because I do want to talk about that. I have that in my notes to talk about that off season. But you just said something a minute ago. If you look at a lot of kids, they want to go to a school and play great competition, right? You're at a dream school in Cincinnati. You are playing in arguably the best league in the country. Yes.
You are playing Pittsburgh, who's number 9 in the country, Georgetown, Louisville, St. John's, but you're losing. How does that work? Like, you're playing great competition, but you guys are getting beat every game. Does that wear on you?
Yes, it definitely wears because you're like, man, we in this league with these guys. Like, we compete. Like, this is what it's about. But it's just like, man, like, what is – and in the back of our – like, and we know we're undersized. We know we're, like, got the short end. We just, like, but we work so hard. So it's like we're not quitting. We're not giving – I don't think it was no matter what game, what team that we, like, literally gave in. Even the game we got blew out by UConn. We were still, like, just hungry and play. At least I know for sure I was, and I'm pretty sure my teammates, everyone was. But we were just undermanned. Like, we were just undermanned. Like, it's like, man, I'm playing, like, and that was from the beginning because I was supposed to come in originally and be a small forward. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was, because, like, I was originally supposed to come in and be a small – I'm not mad at it, but, that's how – down. Like, that's how undermanned we were, and coming in there, like you said, the Big East was so deep and so talented, man. We were just looking like, jeez, what the hell?
Every night.
Oh, every night. Exactly. Every night, man.
Now, John, you guys lose the last game of the season to West Virginia. Season's over, and now, you got to prepare for, your second and your senior season. Why don't you talk a little bit about that knee surgery and that process for your off season?
Yeah. Oh, man. I personally couldn't wait for the season to be over because after every game, my knee was on fire. I could barely walk.
Yep.
It was torture. It was. I remember. Who was the doctor at the time? Coliseum.
Yep.
The surgeon. He had came in and was like, "Man, like, I don't know how you do it. Like, how you're doing it." I'm like, "Me either." Because, like, but adrenaline and then this toughness and then it's being there for everybody. It's just like, man, I have to. But he used to touch my knee. He's like, there's nothing I can do. Like, his knee is on fire. And, like, I remember just looking at Fluke. I remember looking at Fluke, and he's like, man, this is treat it the best we can, man. Like, we need you out there, man. Like, I remember Fluke, like, man, like, super emotional because he know like how much pain I'm going through. Like you could barely touch it. So after that, I got my.
And for Bearcat fans out there, you're talking about David Fluker, who was the trainer for UC, who was at Xavier prior to UC, and then he went back to Xavier as their trainer. And Fluke is one of the best human beings.
Oh man,
around.
Great guy. Oh, great guy, man. I love that guy, man. He's a great guy.
Fluke's the best, man.
So
you're in a tremendous amount of pain, and I'm sure there are a lot of Bearcat fans that, you know, they watch you play and your toughness and your adrenaline takes over in games. They don't realize how much pain you're in, and you play through a lot of pain. They have no clue. That's back to what we talked about. People don't know sometimes.
They don't. Yeah, people don't know, man. Don't know what all goes into it. I know, like after games, I could barely walk, man. Like ice, and once that adrenaline wear off, it was bad. But like I said, we ended up getting the surgery right after, and you know, then I didn't know.
What did they end up doing?
I had to get like a patella. They did a patella tendon. He went back and scraped the back of my knee. For like the cartilage, just cleaned out my knee, and was a meniscus. Ended up shaving some of the meniscus, so it was major. Like I was on bed rest, I think for 10 days. I couldn't move. I was in like an air cast, where I had to take on coming home with my parents, and I had the air cast on, and I had the one that chills. Had to ice it like every 30 minutes or something like that, and keep it elevated. So yeah, man. So it was a tense. It was definitely a tense surgery. I couldn't put no pressure on it. I had to be ordered around campus, and my girlfriend at the time used to drive me to classes, and I was on crutches, and it was intense. And then they ended up having this lady. What was her name? She ended up doing my rehab. Man, this lady was crazy, but she was so good. She was good.
In rehab.
Oh,
you need
man,
that in rehab.
Was it Sue? Oh, I can't think of her name. But she was nuts. But she was so good, man. She pushed me so hard because she's like, we're going to get you back, you know, through the season, because it was supposed to be like a 6 to 8 month, you know, rehab. And, and she got me back, man. She got me back.
I mean, how was that for you, knowing that you aren't going to be able to have a off season, like you talked about earlier in the podcast, that you know you really get a lot of things done in the off season, like you become a better player.
Man.
And honestly, you don't have the opportunity to put in those, you know, blood, sweat, and tears on the court that you normally would during the off season.
Right.
How was that?
Right. It was. I really just wanted to play. I didn't take it as a negative. It's just like, man, I just need to get back. I'm doing this rehab to be able to get back. So I didn't really take it into account that, you know, how big the off and how important, you know, off season is. So it was just like, man, my main thing was just trying to get in shape as fast as I can and do whatever it takes to help the team. And man, I remember. Fast forward, man, shout out to Mick. I remember him apologizing to me, like, man, I probably should have redshirted you your sophomore year. And I'm like, you know, I'm not looking at it as as like I said, a negative or a regret or anything. You know, and he set me down. After I came, he was like, man, I'm glad you're doing well for yourself, man. My only regret was that I should have redshirted you. He said it was coaches in my ear telling me to redshirt you. He said, and I didn't do it, man. I mean, I felt you was ready. You know, we had talked, and you know, you seemed ready, but I really should have redshirted you. I just wanted to apologize to you. I wanted to talk to you about. I'm like, man, ain't no need for you to apologize to me. Like, you know, I'm good. You know, and you know, we had the season we had, but. And I didn't look at it at the time like that, but yeah, he said he had got coach from the league was telling him like red shirt, and he said he couldn't do it. He was like, I didn't do it, man.
Yeah,
like, it's all good.
It's part of your journey, man. And
exactly.
And I do want to jump into that. So we get into your senior season, 2007, 2008. Record's a little better, 13 and 19 overall. A lot better in conference play, 8 and 10 in the Big East. You're back, Deontay's back, which basically are the two pillars of the team, and then you add some new guys, Rashad, Larry Davis, Big E, Darnell Wilkes. You're starting to add and getting some more guys coming in. So with all that going on, you're back from your surgery. As you guys are getting ready to play your first game of the season, how do you feel about things, and how do you feel about the season going into it?
I feel good because I know the guys put in the work. Like I said, those years was like one of the hard, and it had to be for everybody. Like me going back and even talking to like some of the coaches, they like, yeah, Mick then chilled out a little bit. Like I remember Dave, for real, I remember Dave, our weightlifting coach. He used to be like, man, I used to push you guys so hard. He said, I'll probably push you guys harder than the football guys. He said, just because I knew I had to get you guys prepared because you guys are so undermanned. So we out there looking like linebackers. Yeah. I remember me, like, I'm like, sheesh. But, you know, they were doing what they felt was best for us. And like I said, I knew that these guys worked hard during the offseason. So I'm excited about it because I know we're going to do better than what we did just because I know, you know, everybody had a chance to see what we were up against.
Yep. But you know, you guys start the season, you lose to Belmont at home.
Right.
And obviously, and I remember that game, and I tell you why. Obviously, your first season, the record wasn't that great, and then I think the expectations coming back for you guys, especially with you and Tay and adding some guys, I think Bearcat fans were more excited about this season and put you guys with some higher expectations. And then you come out and lose to Belmont, which wasn't a good look for the fans. Now the fans are all kind of like, oh my God. You know, and that's got to be tough. You guys scrape together some wins, but then go, you know, to like a 5-game losing streak with Xavier in between that, where you lose at the Centos. What was that period like for you?
Man, it was tough. I mean, I remember because, you know, it was just like, man, the fans, like we started seeing it was starting to have like a little decrease, you know, and the excitement wore off, and we were like, man, I mean, I think, and we had some stuff going on, like, to where we were. Man, like I said, it was some like Mick wanted to win. He felt the pressure, just like we did, and I think a lot of us was just like overwhelmed, and you know, because we were doing all we felt we could, and you know, with some distractions and you know other things going on, it was just like, man, like, where do we go from here? Because we feeling the pressure too. We like, man, you know, we taking these losses and we putting in all this work, and we going to getting these practices and getting beat up on and everything else. We like, man, what can we do? Like, what else do we do? So it was tough, man. It was definitely a tough period for us.
And the thing too, like you're saying, like you guys, it's so funny that you guys will lose a game you shouldn't lose, and then you turn around and you beat Villanova, who's number 19 in the country. You beat a Syracuse, and it was just kind of like that back and forth.
It's up and down,
no consistency, and that's tough. But one game I want to talk about in particular, which you mentioned before, and that was the game at West Virginia, when you guys just completely blew out West Virginia 62-39, which I mean, I'll never forget that game. Partly because, do you remember playing that game and seeing Coach Huggins' yellow suit? Do you remember that?
Yeah. That was the highlight. We were like, yo, he came out in a yellow canary suit.
Hey, what? Man, that was That was an interesting. I remember talking to Deontay. I interviewed Deontay Vaughn, and we talked about that a little bit on the interview. And he's like, "Man, he looked like a straight up pimp." He was like, "I like it."
Oh,
I was
man,
like, "You
what?
would."
Oh man, he came out in a canary suit, man. That was wild.
What was that game like for you as a player? Once again, Mick's your coach. He's your leader going against his kind of mentor coming up. And you guys just blow them out. I know you talked about preparation, but what was that feeling like, as a player?
Man, that game was crazy from the start. I don't know if you remember. It was a blizzard before that game.
I don't.
Yeah, it was a blizzard. I think were we supposed to fly? I think it was. We ended up driving, but I remember it was a blizzard. We had to delay our trip out there, and so. It was that trip was crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking on the game, I mean, I don't know. It was definitely a special moment, especially for Mick and going against Hud. But I mean, like I said, this is our preparation, and I really don't remember too many details. I remember my parents and stuff. Their fans was crazy. Was going crazy. I remember because my parents was sitting out there, so I was worried about them. But they said that they had a good time and they respected them and stuff. I think I played pretty well, and they kept saying they said the fans kept saying something about me, and I think my parents had my jersey on or something like that. But she was like, yeah, they were just like they were showing you love. They were just saying who's guarding that kid and this and that. So I was like, oh okay, but yeah, their fans it was crazy in there.
Oh, I know.
And West V is like they are like over like on top of you in that facility. It's crazy.
That place, I've been to several games there, man. There's just no arena like that. I mean, it truly is a Coliseum.
No. Yeah, like it seemed like it's just like they're just on top of you. It is crazy.
And another thing too, I totally forgot, but I think prior to that West Virginia game, you guys played at Louisville at Freedom Hall against Patino, won by 1 point. I forgot about that game.
Oh, and that was a good one.
Yeah, talk about that one a little bit. That Mick beating Patino, another mentor.
Yeah, that was a good one because I was about to say, that's another one of Mick's mentors. So of course we was well prepped for that. And I mean, they did a real good job on preparation. It was just this. Us going out, and if everything clicked, we were good. If something went wrong, it kind of fell apart, and that was just from us, like being undermanned. We had to do everything on point, right every time. If not, we get taken advantage of because we didn't have something to come back with. We didn't have, what I'm saying, like we had to do it right first time and get it right. That's what I think was so hard. That's what made it so hard because we work so hard and we had to do everything right. If not, we would get taken advantage of every single time. And Coach used to tell us, if this doesn't happen like this, it's not going to work.
Yep.
Just because. It's simple. If you don't box this dude out, they can jump higher than you. They taller than you. They, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, your guys' margin for error, man. Yep.
Exactly. So that's what made stuff so tough. So when stuff went right, when things went right, we were good. Because we were prepared for it. It's just the fact when we didn't do something like that we were supposed to do, we got taken advantage of.
And I remember, and I've mentioned some of these games. You guys would win some games, whether it was Pittsburgh when they were number 15 in the country. You'd win some games that would get fans excited and know that there was some hope there. And I'll be honest, without you, without you and Tay, if you guys don't arrive here, I don't know if Mick would have been able to keep his job. Like you guys really held it down. But there were just glimpses of hope that I used to tell Bearcat fans, because a lot of people would tell me, man, they got to fire Mick. He's got to go. He can't get it done. I'm like, man, there's body of work there that, I see as good. I was like, we got to give him a chance. And, you look at the end of your senior year, a lot of fans were like, they were kind of losing hope because you guys lose I guess, 5 of your last regular season games. You lose the conference tournament to Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
You make the CBI, who I'd never heard of the CBI prior to that year, and lose
we didn't
to Bradley.
Hey, when we heard about that, we looking around like, what's that? We're like, okay, so we got practice now. Like, it was weird. It was weird. And we ain't know nothing about that either, man. It was crazy. That was funny. That was funny. So we were like, what?
You lose your last 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then for you, I know you're very competitive. You came to the University of Cincinnati as a dream school to compete. How did you feel after you leave that locker room after the Bradley loss? Just how were you feeling at that point?
Man, it was tough. It was emotional. But I mean, I just took it all as a blessing, man. I don't think anything short of it. I mean, of course, a part of the game, wins or losses. But at the end of the day, like I said before, being able to live out your childhood dream, to do something like that big, and coming out, it was just like, man, you got to take it with it, because you got to look at the cards Nick was dealt. With everything going and coming in. I mean, because you can see how he changed the program around to where it is now. But like,
did you know that was going to happen? Like, when you were playing for him, did you go, man,
yeah,
I think he's going to get it?
For sure. It wasn't no question. How Mick is, and there wasn't no question, man. Like, that dude, just because he's so great of a dude. That's what people used to be like. Man, I'm like, it's night and day on the court. You don't want to be in practice and deal with you. Nah, when it comes about basketball, dude is an animal. But off the court, man, the dude is one of the nicest, coolest, like, man, dudes you be around. Because he's so versatile. Like, he's just versatile. You just comfortable around him. You know what I'm saying? So. Man, so I knew it just because, like, how he is on the court, and like it ain't like he did it, like, it was the cards he was dealt. He put all that stuff for him to come in, and still kudos to him, because like you said, Woody came in with 3 players on a high major D1 school, and one of them is a walk on in Brandon Miller, and Ron Allen, who was a transfer from the Katrina, and said, that's it. That's it. And so he has to go and get a whole roster of guys, coming in. So, play in the Big East. And play in the Big East, man. Because don't get me wrong, we were good. Like, the guys we had was good. Like, Jamal Warren, Marvin Gentry. Like, we had some guys that were, like, we were good. If we'd have played in any other league besides the Big East, we'd have been cool. We would have been good. We'd have been cool. We'd have been good. A lot of guys that played in the Big East went to the league.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we coming in playing against Derek, like, hey, come on. Like, so that's just, I mean, I don't have any regrets or have anything toward them. And that's all because even though the fans, like, they were losing hope and stuff, they still came and supported us. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we had those losses, there used to be some that didn't, that like I said, the crowd started getting empty, but we still had the support, like, of the school, and I think we still had the support, and a lot of like fans. I remember going to a game last year and seeing a fan, and he recognized me, and he just gave me so much praise. Like, man, you built this, man. You guys built this. You guys came and did it. Really, man, I was just like, dang, man, I appreciate it. Like, so you got those fans that really appreciate, and I think a lot of them appreciate it because they seen where we came from and what we had to go through and endure. And like I said, it got better and better. So,
how do you just talked about a fan, which I think is a great segue. How do you judge your Bearcat career?
Of my personal career?
Yes. Like, when you reflect back on your Bearcat career.
I think, like I said, I think it, like, as I reflect back, like now, I mean, being in the moment, I was like, okay, I know I didn't do as much as I could have, especially going from how my professional career went, and reflecting back, then I'm like, man, I could have did a lot more just because of how much I developed during then, and things I didn't know then that I know now. I'm like, man. It was just been so much I could have did, but and it could have been so much I could have did. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like I made the best of it. Like I said, reflecting back, like, yeah, it would have made sense that I redshirted, just because. But I'm gonna ride it out, with Mick, and if he needed me then, and the fans and the school needed me then to do that, to come back, like you said, me and Tay was like the pillar of the team. Then that's what you just got to sacrifice, man, and just live with no regrets, because, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, I was blessed. Nick kept his job, and the program turned around, and the fact that Nick, being from his hometown and I'm being from Ohio, I think it all worked itself out. So I think it was pretty good. Like I said, I don't have any regrets. I think, of course, I could have did better, or felt I could have did better, especially with the off season, but that's the way it will.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and I think Mick should send you and Tay Christmas gifts every year for what you guys did. Seriously, like, I mean, he's making a lot of money right now, and he can. I mean, I'm not saying that you guys are the reason he's totally making that money, but you're a big part of his success and his journey. So. Right. And there's no question about that.
Man, Mick, man, send me a couple mil, Mick, man. I'm down here hurting. Nah, man, that's my guy.
There you go, man. So, okay, this is for the Bearcat fans. Can you give Bearcat fans, from your Bearcat playing days, what's your best story? It could be a funny story. It could be an in-game moment. What's your best story?
Man, I got so many. Oh my God.
Give me one.
So what happened? So a lot of people ain't gonna know this because this was behind the scenes with me. So I remember after the game, man, there's so many. So just my personal one with Mick, because I used to do, like, I wanted to be like the most disciplined, like, so I try not to make a lot of mistakes, like, so that's how I started every game of my career at UC, because I didn't make mistakes. So I thought Mick was about to kick me off the team, man. So one time we were in, I think we played North Carolina. Was it North Carolina A&T? No, it was in Florida. And it's me, Sykes, and Tay. We sitting there after, I think we had lost. And we sitting after the dinner, and so we sitting there laughing and joking and stuff after dinner, because everybody gone. It's just, like I said, me, Sykes, and Tay. And I guess Coach Cronin and they were having a meeting, and they hear us in there laughing and stuff. And I couldn't help it. Like, I don't know what. I think it was late. You know how he's late. You getting that this laughing mood, like you just can't stop laughing, tears coming. And Mick walks past, and he's like, you know how Mick, are you kidding me? Oh, that was his favorite. Man, this dude came and chewed me out, like, and I couldn't help it. And I laughed. Why I did it, I don't know. I was just in that group, and when he said that, I just laughed. And he was so mad.
I'm surprised you survived that.
I'm surprised because I did not mean to laugh. I just laughed, and he was like, "You got and he was like, just looking at me, and Tay and Sykes was looking at me like, damn, because like I said, I didn't really get chewed out like that because I used to try to be like so this and do everything right, and I just play hard, like that's what he liked, and they just looking like, damn, like, oh yeah, he probably going home after this. But no, it was all good, man. It was just like, I apologized, and Mick looked at me like he didn't know what the hell I was talking about. That's what made it even crazier. Like the next day, I apologized, and he's looking at me like, What are you talking about? Like, that's fire under the bridge. Ain't nobody worry about that. Like, moving on. Like, moving on. Like, don't worry about nothing like that. You know, because like I said, I'm thinking like they probably looking like, man, he probably going home after this. Like, and he like, that's water under the bridge. I ain't, you know, I know what type of person you are. I know who you are. Like, don't worry about nothing like that. So, but man, I got so many. We could talk for hours on the stories we got, man. I know Tay probably told some of them, but man.
Oh, I know you got tons of them. And you know what? I tweeted out that I was interviewing you, and I got a bunch of people sending me some different questions, and I took two in particular, one of which we kind of dove into, but I want to ask you these questions from Bearcat fans on Twitter. Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Yep.
This is from it's Tyler Bubbles 12. He asked, how did Coach Cronin get the guys to still trust the process in that 2006-2007 season when they were losing? So that's to you. How did Coach get you and the guys to continue to trust in the process?
He gave us confidence because, you know, how, like I said, like how hard we were working and we looking around too, like, you know, what else can we do? Like, what else, you know, like what else do we have left to do? Because at this time we recognizing like, man, we undermanned, like, but he just gave us confidence. Like, man, you guys, you know, the work you putting in, you deserve this and that. So when we have those good moments, he was on his high horse. Like, yeah, that's it. So he gave us confidence, man. And like I said, the fans had a lot to do with some of it too, because when we did do something good, that's you heard it. You know what I'm saying? You felt it. So it was just like, man, that's what until it's like, okay, well, the next one, we're gonna get the next one. We just kept that confidence, and we kept it within each other, man. Because I don't think, well, I know nobody on the team, like, we didn't have any bad blood towards each other. I can't say it was like somebody like on the team really didn't like that next person the whole time. Like, nah. We had our arguments, but everybody, like, we all respected each other, and we all genuinely liked and loved each other.
That's big for the continuity of a team.
That's definitely, exactly. Especially going through stuff, like you said, like the question he asked, especially going through stuff like that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, for sure.
That's when people start walking away and quitting and everything else. You know.
Yeah. Yep. Let me give you my second Twitter question here. It's from @Cincy_Justin. And we kind of touched on this before, and I kind of know what your answer is, but I want to just at least give you the chance to answer it. Did it mean more to get wins over Patino at Louisville and Huggins at West Virginia for Coach Cronin than the other Big East games?
Definitely.
Yeah.
For his perspective. For us, it was just like we trying to get a win, but we know how important these games are for him in the city.
Right.
Because I'm sure they wanted to see that, especially, you know, with Louisville being there and Patino and, you know, and great Hall of Fame coaches. And for us to do that, you know, for the team, one, for the city, and for Coach Cronin, it definitely meant a lot. And for us, like, and those were powerhouse teams too. Like, they were,
for sure.
They were good. So it meant a lot. It meant a lot.
Yep. I figured that would be the answer. Okay, now I've got the next part of the podcast. One of my favorite parts. It's quick questions, quick answers. Okay, you ready for this?
Yep. Let's do it.
Here we go. Quick questions, quick answers with John Williamson. Here we go. Number one, John, who is the greatest rapper of all time?
Tupac.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. All right. I like that. Yeah. I can't argue back with you on that one. Okay. Question number two. Are you? This is not the question, but are you a shoe guy at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. Question number two. Greatest shoe of all time?
The patent leathers.
Jordan 11s. Well said.
Yes.
Question number three. Of all the levels you have played high school, Cincinnati State, Bearcats, professionally. When did you play your best basketball? At what level, in your opinion?
Professionally, for sure.
Professionally. Gotcha. Okay. And we're gonna segue into that here in a second. The fourth and final question. If you had to go to battle, okay, you're walking in and go to battle, and you could take one Bearcat teammate with you to that battle, and you're going, it's me and him versus all you all. What Bearcat teammate are you taking with you?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
You only take one.
That's a tough one because, like I said, we all battle. Like, golly, that's a tough. What type of battle though? Like, what? What's the
ask that? You're the first person to ask that question.
Yeah, it gotta be.
Ask that. I don't know what kind of battle it is. You just got any battle. You got to take one dude that no matter where you're going, what battle you're in, I'm riding with this dude. I'm taking just to give you an example, I'm taking Kenyon Martin with me, no matter where we go. I'm taking Kmart. We're gonna fight, we're gonna win, we're gonna hoop, we're gonna win. We're gonna win.
Well, I was gonna say Mike Williams, but I never played with Mike. So I don't wanna take Mike Williams.
Yeah, he was right after you, right?
Yeah. Like he ended up getting hurt. Man. Dang, that's a good one. They all dogs. I mean, it'll have to be Tay.
Yeah, that's what I thought you would say.
Once he get going and he get his little beady eye, like when Tay turns up in the lab, his eyes get real beady. They got them beady eyes, and you know it's on. You know it's on, man. But I mean, I would take any of the Sykes, Jamal. Man, yeah,
a lot of good dudes.
Yeah, it's a lot of good dudes that I would roll with.
Quickly tell us. I know you played professionally, and you said that was some of the best basketball you've ever played. And usually, for a lot of guys, once they kind of get to that level, if they have an opportunity to play professionally, obviously they've learned a lot, they've matured a lot. Their game has, really gone to the next level. Their game's matured. Give the Bearcat fans just quickly kind of an overview of your professional career.
I know what they'd get a kick out of. Once you brought it up, one of my best, most loyal, I think, the craziest teammate I played with was my teammate, was Mark Lyons.
Oh my God. He was your teammate overseas?
Yes, Mark Lyons was my teammate, man. He played with, if I'm not mistaken, I think he played with Yancey, too. We played against Yancey my first year, and I think he played with Yancey, if I'm not mistaken.
I interviewed Yancey, and I think he brought that up, which is so wild with that whole fight and all that. That's
crazy.
That is very – yeah, Cheeks is definitely that's funny.
I love that dude, though, man. Oh, man, I love Mark, man. Me and Mark got into it his first couple of days because I didn't know how Mark played. I didn't know how Mark played. Mm-hmm. And we had got into it, but that's his game. And they was like, yeah, he is score first, guard. But I'm like, pretty much my whole career I played with score first, point guard. But they always got me the ball. Mm-hmm. Like, if anything, and Mark was like that. It didn't matter. Coach can call to play for him. He'd be like, you want the ball? You good? Like, every single time. The most unselfish guy I played with. Because he gonna make sure you good. Like, Mark used to be like, you good? You want the ball? You want? And he would literally call to play for you. Like, and will get you the ball. If the play was from him and you killing, you getting the ball, no matter what.
Wow.
Yeah, Mark is that guy, man. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, that's
so I'm
funny.
sorry, I done got off.
No.
Yeah, it's funny how it all happened, how everything was. Yeah. I'm just like, man, this dude had the biggest brawl in UC in basketball history. And I'm sitting up, but dude he nothing. I mean, he meant what he said by him, but it was in a totally different context. Just like playing with the dude. Like if you talking about going to war, that's a dude you would want to go to war with, hands down. Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Interesting. So you played what, 6-7 years professionally?
I played 10 years.
You played 10 years. Wow.
Yeah, I played 10 years, man.
Wow. I didn't know it was that long. Wow.
Yeah, 10 years and 12, 13 different countries, I think.
Woo. Amazing where basketball will take you, man.
Right. It is. It's like, we're going to France. Oh, okay, let me call my dude. Like, what? Let me call, like, you got to hold up. What? Like, you can message people from different countries and just hang out, talk to them or whatever. Like, it's surreal.
And to think, John, all that happened because you were chilling at the swimming pool one day. And they came and grabbed you and said, we got to try out. And now you've been all around the world, and gosh.
Blessing.
No, there's no question. And I want to tell you something. And just to kind of reiterate what we've talked about, I think you are one of the very underrated players in the landscape of Bearcat basketball. And listen, there has been a tremendous amount of history, a great culture with Bearcat basketball from Oscar Robertson, the 61-62 national champions, to, you look at the Final Four team, Nick Van Exel, Corey Blunt, pros, Kenyon Martin, some dogs. However, I think you and definitely a guy like Tay hold definitely a special place in Bearcat basketball history for what you did. Yeah, and I think you know that, but it's important that you hear it from other people. That
yeah, man. Yeah, definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, you guys carried those first 2 years, and it led to that later success that the program is still benefiting from today. And I think you are a great representative of what Bearcat basketball is all about, and that is toughness. If you look at the core, you're welcome. If you look at the core of UC basketball, and you go back and look at the greats, Eric Hicks is looked upon, Eric Martin, Gary Clark, and Kenyon Martin. You look at them, you have that same DNA of toughness. Yeah. Plain and simple. So I want to make sure that you're very welcome. This has been great, man. This has been fun, man.
Yeah, definitely
catching up. We got to do it again, and we're probably gonna have to. I tell you what we'll do when we kind of get out of this pandemic. Maybe I can get some of you guys together. You, Tay, Sykes, get a couple guys together, and we'll do a little round table and talk about those days and stories.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Cause oh man, we got stories for days with Coach Cronin. It just overall just everything that just happened those years. Man.
Oh, I bet. Do you still talk to Coach Cronin at all? I know he's busy with coaching and all that.
I haven't talked to him in a while. it ain't been that long. It's probably been a few months. I think I checked on him around like the pandemic and stuff like that. Like when everything first happened, I checked to see if he was okay, and it might have been a little longer. But he always like, man, come down here. I got a room for you. This and that. So, and I got a really good friend, Frank, that's out there. So making a trip. So yeah.
And that reminds me too. Do you know? I know I saw you at the dinner at Coach Brandon's house, but have you been in communication with him? Do you know Coach Brandon very well?
Yeah, I talked to him. I talked to him a while. We had talked back. I met him a couple times. I've spoken with him. We sent text messages and stuff like that over.
Good.
He's super cool. And I went to I went to a couple practices, so yeah, I know Coach.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
I went to a couple practices, so I haven't been down there, of course, with everything that's going on now. But yeah, I made my way down there and spoke with him and met him. So he's a good dude. He reached out. I think he reached out to like all the former players and stuff when he had that dinner and everything. And introduced himself. So yeah.
Yeah, he's a very good dude, and I know the team's struggling a little bit right now, and it just kind of reminds me of the struggle that occurred when you were there. But, you know, I think, like you said about Mick, you knew Mick's going to find a way to dig down and get through that. And I think Coach Brannon will do the same and get the program headed. Right.
He got a different coaching style, a totally different coaching style than Mick, but he has this. I think he makes the same point and does similar things with everything that's going. So I mean, of course, everybody's not going to be the same, but I think he's a really good dude. I think he's a really good coach.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, man, hey, this has been great, man. I appreciate your time, man. Appreciate you coming on. And like I said, we are going to definitely get this together where we do a round table and really get down and tell some stories. Yeah, I promise we'll do that, man. Does that sound good? When I'm in Columbus, I'm gonna hit you up, man. I come up every now and then.
Hit me up, man. I'm still in a little something with some basketball stuff here. So I know a lot of good trainers and people that do some stuff up here in Columbus. So yeah, man, when you come up, man, hit me up.
I will. We'll definitely connect, man. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, John. We'll catch up. Okay?
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, bro. Be safe. Okay.
All right.
Later.
Bye.
I want to thank everyone for listening to Season 2 of the Bearcat Basketball Podcast. Once again, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Alex_Meacham. Meacham spelled Meacham. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, Alex Meacham. On Snapchat, Big Meach 41. And I'm now dancing on TikTok at Alex Meacham 41. I appreciate everyone listening to the Bearcat Basketball Podcast. Go Bearcats!